is up, Gator baseball fans? Again, we're going to get after it today. Today, the boys on the bump, okay? This is where Sully has cut his teeth, where his teams, where they've been the most dominant, his best teams have been solid right here, right on the bump. So that's what we're going to talk about today, okay? Before we get there, let me give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Guys, this episode of Gator Diamond Pod is brought to you by 401k Generation. If you're looking to take control of your financial future, there's no better time than now to connect with the pros at 401k Generation. Whether you need help planning for retirement, building your investment portfolio, or simply getting started, they'll give you the guidance you need. Reach out today at www.401kgeneration.com. And trust me, guys, the sooner you get started with that 401k, the better. Compounding interest. Just a little free advice. All right, listen, here we go. The pitching staff, man. The Gator season, honestly, a lot of it's going to ride on this right here, like usually does with most teams. If you don't got pitching, you're not going to go anywhere. Doesn't matter what you do in the batter's box. If you don't got your stuff taken care of on the mound, it's going to be a long season. Okay, fortunately for Florida, all right, everybody says that we have one of the most potent 1-2 Friday, Saturday combos in college baseball. And of course, that starts with the junior, Liam Peterson, coming into his third year basically as the ace of the season. Okay, Liam, guys looking sharp in preseason, 97, 98 solid, tops off 99 a couple times when he really wants to pump it up there. Looking solid. I expect him to be the Friday guy. We all know what the issue has been with Liam. Okay, there's no hiding that. The issue is going to be, right now is the fact that the big games, the big game jitters. Sometimes the big games moments get to him, and he loses the strike zone. It's happened more than once. Okay, so that's going to be the key for him this year. Controlling his emotions. He looks like to be like a very emotional type of kid. So controlling those emotions, don't let the situation get too big, even though they're big situations, man. Trust me, especially for some of these young kids. But bring it every day, man. He's going to have a heck of a year. He's going to have a heck of a year. It's all going to come down to those big moments, okay? Saturday guy. The Saturday guy is going to be Aiden King, okay? Now, before I talk a little bit about Aiden King, I just want to preface it by saying, listen, these scrimmages, you just never really know what's going on, right? Sometimes pitchers might be working on certain pitches. Sometimes they are on very limited pitch counts. So you just don't know really if the pitcher is not necessarily giving his full effort, but if he's just working on different pitches, so his pitch sequence is going to be off and stuff like that, okay? And I bring that up now because Aiden King had a heck of a year last year. We all know that. Freshman All-American. He comes into this year, with a lot being expected out of him now that he's a sophomore. Okay, but since the end of the year last year, okay, the things that made him so effective last year was the fact that he controlled the strike zone with his fastball. If you watched this podcast before with me and Chris, we talked about that aplenty last year. How it's just so rare to see such a young kid be able to control the strike zone with just his fastball. And that's what he did. And then he had the devastating splitty to wipe out the hitters with. But since the end of the year, and I'm talking about fall, and it's carried over into preseason now, he doesn't have quite the control of the strike zone with the fastball that he had during the season. That's just my observation. I'm just being honest with it. And, the performance kind of reflects that a little bit. He is, getting hit a little bit in these preseasons. Now, of course, you take that with a grain of salt. It's your teammates, and you go back to what I said. You just don't know what exactly he's working on. But the fact remains that it just doesn't look the same right now, okay? So, if this was a panic button, this remote control, the red panic button, right? I'm not hitting it yet. I'm not hitting the panic button yet, okay? But I'm going to be real curious those first couple of outings of his. I want to see that dominance in the strike zone that he had last year, okay? Especially against competition like a UAB and a Kennesaw State, which is the first couple of weeks. Okay, so on those Saturday starts against those two teams, I want to see the Aiden King from last year, and especially if that UAB start. Okay, he looks just like he did last year, as sharp with that dominance of the strike zone with that fastball, then using that splitty, and then he has worked on his slider. It looks good. Um, that panic button is out the window. Oh, okay. I'll rest easy because Florida's going to need that 1-2 punch. Okay, you're going to need that 1-2 punch. Anybody who wants to make a run in college baseball, especially in the SEC, is going to need a solid Friday, Saturday guy. Okay, so that's our Friday, Saturday guy. Sunday gets interesting. Okay, for me, the Sunday guy is going to be Luke McNeely, but there are options. Okay, the first option that I'm going to talk about before talking about Luke, because we all know what Luke brings to the table. Okay, he brings that mid 90s, 96, 97 mile an hour fastball. When he's on, he's got that wipeout slider going. Okay, very effective. He could be a very effective Sunday guy. The thing is, he also has the experience in the bullpen, and we all know how Suddy likes to have that long reliever type to come out of the bullpen. Okay, so there are some options for Sunday if you're not going to go with Luke. The first option is Ernesto Lugo Canchola. Okay, he's really the only left-handed pitcher who's a viable option. So if Sully wants to give a different look on the weekends, okay, which is always kind of what you want, right? Because imagine going Liam Friday, Aiden Saturday, and now you come with another righty, say Luke on Sunday. Well, that's righty, righty, righty. By the time Sunday comes around, these hitters for the opposing ball club, they're already getting used to that release window right here. So the Sunday starter, might have a little tough time of it just because of that reason alone. Okay, so it's always nice to have that different look. Get that lefty somewhere in your rotation. If you had a coach to tell you, that will be ideal situation for him. Okay, so Lugo Canchola, he comes from Division II Northwest Nazarene. He was like the Division II pitcher of the year. All right, what does Canchola bring to the table? He's a grad transfer, by the way. Okay, he comes from the left side. He's a low 90s fastball. Very good slider, very good curveball, kind of not necessarily a sweeper, but a slurve type of pitch. Relies on location. He's not going to overpower anybody, all right? He relies on location, pinpoint location, working the corners via lefty or righty. And when he's working those corners, he's equally effective either or against a lefty or a righty. Okay, the thing is, obviously, he has stepped up big time here, coming from Division II into, not only the Power 4 conferences or whatnot, but the SEC to boot. Okay, so that's a big jump for him. All right, maybe you give him that Sunday start against the UAB, against the Kennesaw State, to see how he handles that before you go into like a downtown in Coral Gables over there. Okay, so we'll see. But that's an option for Sully. Okay, another option is right-handed pitcher Cooper Walls. Cooper Walls has looked really good, man. He was looking good in fall, and then for some reason, I don't know why, but he pretty much got shut down the last couple of weeks of fall. I don't know if it had to do with some injury. I don't know if it had to do with personal reasons. I don't know. But he just didn't pitch the last, 2.5 weeks or so of fall ball. Okay. So I was concerned, hoping, oh man, I hope that kid's not injured. So sure as heck, I was very anxious come spring. And boom, here's Cooper Walls. He comes in to pitch like, the second, third scrimmage as he was probably scheduled to do so. And he looks great, man. He reminds me, when you see this guy pitch, either you see him on TV or you see him over at Condren, he's going to remind you of Logan Shore because that's who he reminds me of. He looks just like Logan Shore. He kind of looks like him, body type, everything, wind up, the whole nine. Okay? Came, like I said, transferred in from Hawaii and is very poised. He comes in mid-90s. He could pump it up to 95 when he has to, but he's steady, 93, 94. His pitch ability is through the roof. Slider, changeup, pitches in and out, works batters. The guy has good experience. He's a true sophomore also. Last year, he was freshman pitcher of the year in the Big West Conference that Hawaii plays in, and I believe not only freshman of the year, but I believe he was the pitcher of the year, if I'm not mistaken. So he's very good, very, 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 very good pitcher. He could easily be the Sunday guy. Okay, and then you also have the fourth option, I guess, if you're going Luke, Ernesto, Lugo, Canchola, Cooper Walls. The fourth option now is Russell Sandifer. Russell Sandifer transferred from UCF. He is a junior right-hand pitcher. Pitched at UCF, pitched very good. He's a mid-90s fastball guy, also a little bit lower, maybe 92, 93, could pump it up to 94, but also provides good pitchability, has had a good spring, couple bouts where some inconsistencies, but you expect that from all these guys, right? When they leave fall ball, they go for their biggest break that they probably take throughout the whole year, right? The whole Thanksgiving, Christmas break until they come back for spring training. So it takes a couple of, outings out there, to get your location, get your velo up to where you're used to. And then it even takes a couple of outings into the season until you really feel comfortable with that. So Russell Sandifer has looked good, also an option. So those are four guys right there. Now, out of those four guys, there's going to be three of you that are not going to be starting on Sunday. So those are going to be your prime relievers, middle relievers. Any one of them, especially if it's Luke, Cooper, or Russell, can go deep into ball games, right? If for whatever reason your starter gets knocked out early, heaven forbid, knock on wood, has an injury, you easily could feel comfortable having any one of these guys, even Lugo, Canchola also coming in and give you multiple innings. Okay, so that's what you always want out of your middle relief. And you go into a weekend with any one of those three guys as your middle relievers, you're feeling pretty good. Okay, you're going to get some outs there. So those are going to be your middle relievers, your main bulk of your middle relievers, the three that are not going to be your Sunday starter. But like I said, my pick for Sunday starter for now is going to be Luke McNeely. I think he goes into the first weekend and he gets the rock on Sunday. Okay, so that's my rotation. It is going to be righty, righty, righty. It's going to be Liam, Aiden, and Luke. Let me tell you, you can do a lot worse than those three. As long as they're all healthy, as long as they're all on point, that's quite a rotation right there for Sully going into the season. Okay, now the midweek, it's funny because the midweek, me and Chris would always have discussions on the midweek starters, right? Chris was one who wanted to go with like your other best option, right? So if like Friday and Saturday, Sunday, those guys are going, then your fourth best pitcher should go on midweek. And I've always been one who thinks, well, okay, if it's Florida State, I could see that. That's fine. But man, do I really want to burn like a Cooper Walls on a Tuesday, going 6 innings, 100 pitches against a Jacksonville or a FAMU, when I got like Vandy coming into town Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I could use them for some long relief innings on like 2 occasions? All right. For my money, that's more valuable. Okay. So using that logic, that's why my midweek, I go with someone like a Billy Barlow, who's coming in as a senior, maybe even a Skylar Sanford, who's a redshirt freshman. Billy Barlow, when he's on point, man, he's borderline unhittable with that sinker. And the only thing is that you just really don't know what you're going to get with Billy Barlow when he comes into a ball game. You just don't know. If I'm Sully and I bring in Billy Barlow, I got somebody going in the bullpen already. Because you're going to know within the first two hitters, what type of Billy you're going to get. Are you going to get a Billy that's going to be dominant with like wipeout sliders, sinker balls, locating that fastball with some run to it? Or are you going to get one who just can't throw a strike? Okay? Because we've seen both of those. So you're going to know. You're going to know fairly quick. But he's been on point more often than not this preseason. I do got to give him that, man. He's been on point more often than not. Kind of gets you excited. Because if you can have a senior like that who's got a boatload of innings under his belt, get a little bit more consistency. I tell you, that's like Jacob Kendall on offense. It's like one of those presents on Christmas morning, you really weren't expecting. And now you got Billy Barlow that you could depend on. Okay, so we'll see. We'll see. The Skylar Sanford, redshirt freshman, he was the freshman last year who had Tommy John, came back from that, having a pretty good preseason, not a bad preseason. He's going to be somebody who you definitely want to bring in a midweek game, get his feet wet. Because remember, he didn't pitch all of last year. So he hasn't pitched since senior year. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that he got hurt towards the end of his senior year. So he really hasn't even pitched in a ball game in over a year and a half, coming up on 2 years, right? And then you got Ricky Reef, the transfer from Notre Dame. He's a senior. He could also do midweek for you. Right-handed pitcher. All these guys are right-handed pitcher, by the way. Let me get a swig of water. Okay, so those are your midweek starters, okay, that I'm looking at. Now, like I said, if you got Florida State coming into town or you're going to Tally, by all means, go ahead and go with the Cooper Walls. Go with Russell Sandifer, manage that, okay? But we'll see. Now we go to the end of the bullpen. This is where the heat's at. These guys are bringing the gas, man. First and foremost, setup guy. I'm going with Joshua Rittner, all right? Joshua Rittner, redshirt freshman, had Tommy John last year, came back, hasn't lost any velo at all. He's pumping it steady, 95, 96, can touch even 97, 98 when he has to. Only thing with him, obviously, when you have young pitchers that throw that hard, is their control. Sometimes, not that often with Joshua, but sometimes, he might lose the strike zone a little bit and then find it. Well, if you're coming in high stress situations, you need to have it right off the bat, okay? But I like him. He's going to be a big part at the end of these ball games for us. And then the closer, slam dunk, Jackson Barberry. All right, coming into his sophomore year, he's looked really good. He's looked really good. Coming in really hard, 96, 97, topping 98. Coming in with a nasty little slider. Looking real sharp. Looking really sharp. I expect him to be the closer. Sully likes to have those closers that could go multiple innings. He could do that for you if need be also. Okay? So, those are my and the bullpen guys. Joshua Rittner and Jackson Barberry. Now, if you noticed, the only lefty I've talked about is Ernesto Lugo Canchola. Sully ain't different than any other baseball coach. They are dying to find lefties who can pitch, especially in the SEC. You need some lefties who can come out of the bullpen, lefty on lefty type of situations at a bare minimum, okay? And right now, excuse me, Sully is trying to find them, all right? He's trying to find them. If Ernesto Lugo Canchola doesn't get the Sunday starter role, then he's probably going to be your number one lefty coming out of the bullpen. So that might influence Sully as to who's going to be the Sunday starter right there, okay? But let's see who else is a possibility, man. He's tried all of these. You could go to the scrimmages and then see who's pitching to see who, Sully wants to see, who he could gain confidence in. That's all about Sully, any coach. He's got to have confidence in pitchers before you bring them into ball games. Jackson Hoyt, left-handed pitcher, true freshman. Then you got Eli Blair, another left-handed pitcher, true freshman. You got Rivers Curlin, the brother of Cade, left-handed pitcher, true freshman. And then you got McCall Bymiller, who's a sophomore left-handed pitcher. He's tried all of them in scrimmages. All four have had some good moments. All four have had some rough moments. They're freshmen. For my bet, I think the one who he has the most confidence in right now is probably Jackson Hoyt, okay? So expect to see maybe Jackson Hoyt, but all of these guys. And just like my pod yesterday on the starting lineup, just because you're not in my starting lineup or just because you're not in Sully's starting lineup on Friday doesn't mean you ain't going to play, because all these guys are going to get a lot of opportunities. And all these pitchers are going to get a lot of opportunities. It all comes down to when you get that opportunity, you got to take advantage of it, okay? Because they're going to come probably few, okay, and far between for you if you're now one of the designated starters coming in to the season, or one of the guys right off the bat that earned a spot during preseason. Okay, but you're gonna get an opportunity. I guarantee you, all these guys are. And if one of them could shine when they get that opportunity, Sully will get confidence in him. Going into Coral Gables, you'll see him. And going into the SEC, you're going to see him. Because left-handed pitchers, very, very valuable, guys. Okay? Now, I'm going to end this pitcher's preview with a category I got called the X Factor. Okay? There's two guys coming in as my X Factors. First one I'm going to talk about is sophomore Christian Rodriguez, C-Rod. Okay? He's had kind of an up and down career here so far. Well, mainly down because of injury and stuff like that. He had to have, right, I believe, Tommy John surgery. And he came back. Then during the summer, he just tore it up at the Cape. Okay, he got the Al Graber Outstanding Pitcher Award. He was a Cape Cod All-Star. He had a 0.93 ERA, 26 Ks, and 19 innings with 4 saves. Okay, the guy was on fire. Fall ball comes around, guys, I'm honest, can't throw strikes. Spring training comes around, can't throw strikes. The way that they work the scrimmages is normally the pitchers who start the inning, are usually, I would imagine, on some type of pitch count. You're not going to let a pitcher wear it, right? In spring training or in fall ball. So usually, probably, 25, 30 pitches is the pitch count that each pitcher has per inning, I would imagine. On more than one occasion, C-Rod hasn't been able to finish an inning. Sully's had to call the inning short, okay? Just can't throw strikes. Numerous walks. If you follow Gator Diamond Pod on X, you'll see that my Gator standouts for the last scrimmage, I had C-Rod on there. It was his best outing he's had since Cape Cod. Okay? He faced 5 hitters, retired 3, walked 2. Even walking 2, that was still the best outing he's had because he retired 5. He retired 3 out of 5 and was able to finish the inning. I believe he had a strikeout. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what's happened. I know it's probably extremely frustrating to pitching coach Kopp. Extremely frustrating to Sully. I could see it. You could almost feel it. And you feel for the kid because he's got unbelievable talent. His velo's up to mid-90s pretty much. And that changeup is still as nasty as ever. He can't throw strikes. So we'll see. Hopefully it's just this mental block he has. And once the season starts, because he's going to get his opportunity, okay? As soon as the season starts, he's too good not to. So he's going to get his opportunity, and you just hope that he finds that form that not only he had in high school, but the form he showed at the Cape. Because if he could bring that form back to the table into this bullpen, like I said, Christmas present morning, right now it's one you're not counting on, honestly. You just can't count on him right now. Okay, but if he could find it, now you're cooking with gas, like all the cool kids say. Okay, my last X factor is Caden McDonald. Touched upon this a little bit during the previous show when we talked about the projected lineup. Okay, Caden is my starting first baseman, middle of the lineup. He's gonna either be hitting. I would have him 4th, 5th, or 6th, anywhere in that middle of the lineup. He's gonna provide a lot of power for you. He's going to, if he plays a full season, gets a full set of at-bats for the whole season, he'll, I think, easily have 15 to 20 home runs, okay? So do you need him coming out of the bullpen? Because that's what he'll be. Do you need that? Do you need him concentrating, taking up brain capacity on being a pitcher? Also, when you bring him to pitch, remember, when you bring him in to pitch, now potentially you're shaking around your whole lineup. I remember in fall at Jacksonville when he pitched, I remember that caused, I believe Zurowicz went to first, Lawson played third, you had Miller at short. It created a lot of changes. And if you're operating with how I see things, right, where Surwich is your starting third baseman, Lawson is your starting shortstop. Okay, now if you want to put Zurwich at first, see how you're switching positions around just to accommodate Caden McDonald coming in to give you whatever he's going to give you on the pitcher's mound. So, in my opinion, I think you have enough pitching. I think you have enough pitching where you don't need to depend on Caden McDonald. But that's just me. I don't know what type of arrangements there are. You know, in today's day and age with NIL and stuff like that, you hear about it in football. I'm sure that trickles down to all the other sports also, right? Sometimes arrangements are made, promises are made, and, you know, decisions have to be made for something other than just baseball. I don't know if that's the case here. I'm just saying. So, I don't know. We'll see how we approach that. As of now, it looks like he is going to pitch because he does pitch during scrimmages. So as of now, I assume that the decision is to have him pitch once the season starts. We'll see. You could also have Landon Stripling has played first. Ashton Wilson plays first. The one thing about this whole infield is that during these scrimmages and during infield outfield practice, I mean, they really do move guys around. All right, they move guys around. You could tell where they have you playing steadily, okay, but then they still move you around a little bit. Like they'll have Zuro come get some work at first. They'll have Landon get some grounders at third, but Landon's been mainly at first base right now. But anyways, that is the decision that Sully will have to make with Caden McDonald. In my opinion, his bat is just going to be way too valuable for you this year to be concerned with any type of help he'll give you in middle relief coming out of the pen. Okay, if he was a starter, like how say Jack was last year, right? If that was the case, that's a different story. Okay, but I don't see Caden McDonald as my Sunday guy. Okay, I just don't see that right now. Okay, so anyways, that's the pitching, guys. Thank you so much for following along. A lot of good feedback on the projected lineup pod that we put out yesterday. So do me a favor. Go follow us on the old X Machine at Gator Diamond Pod. Go to YouTube and Apple. Subscribe in all kinds of weather forecast channels over there and on Apple Podcast. Go ahead, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, give it all that good stuff. Give it a follow, comment on Apple. You know, we'll appreciate it all. It's all good for the algorithms, like they say. Okay. So we'll be starting. Hey, listen, 8 days away from opening pitch. So we're going to get back to our weekly pods, previewing the upcoming opponent. And once the season kicks off, we'll be reviewing the previous week, previewing the opponents, and hopefully we'll take that all the way down to Omaha. Okay? So until then, I'm Adrian Perez. For my partner behind the controls here, Dustin Smith, our producer. Thank you, buddy. I say go Gators, and I'll catch you next time, guys. Take care.